Addison, the first thing I want to say about your paper is that you've got to start with a great title. There's no such thing as perfect. It's engaging. I also like your intro hook sentence. Most people have amazing qualities that make them better people, because I can relate to it and I say, yeah, that's really true. Do look at how you transitioned into your first sentence and then into your next. It's a bit odd to be having this hook and then go into Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Atticus is a single father of two children, Gem and Scout. Um, it it doesn't quite work with the sentence before it, and it doesn't have enough significance in it to really deserve its own sentence. And then you go on and you prepare the reader for your thesis statement. That's well done. The only thing that I'd have you do is in your thesis statement, the last sentence, although Atticus has many admirable qualities that help him to be a better man, these qualities are also weaknesses, as they allow him to overlook some aspects of the truth. You might want to qualify that so that it is just more specific in language. And that's something that I encourage you to do as a writer in your editing. Always ask yourself, am I being really specific? So now let's go on to your first body paragraph. You've got a great topic sentence that tells your reader what you want the reader to think about. And then after you have your page 33 right here, you say Atticus believes that you should always look at things from the other person's point of view. Try to avoid referring to the you, just because Atticus believes that his kids or that people, um, because he doesn't believe anything about you. So remember to avoid that in your formal writing. And then you go into your analysis right here. And the issue with this analysis is you're really just summarizing or restating the passage. So it's not necessary to do that. It distracts your reader from really getting into the important points that you're trying to make. And then you go into this diction analysis here with simple trick. But this passage isn't great for diction analysis. It's not like Harper Lee was really choosing her words carefully. It's more like you want to explain that Scout has to learn to get along with all different kinds of people because she's going to have to live with her teacher all year long and she's going to have to learn from her. And so Atticus just tells her to be the better person. So that's how you can push that analysis. So my general advice here would be is really avoid your tendency to restate what's in the passage and don't do diction analysis if your diction analysis is if your passage isn't rich for diction analysis. So now we're moving into your transition right up here into your next passage. It's a decent transition sentence, but try again to be more specific. You say Atticus's strong qualities are displayed. Well, what do you mean by strong qualities? Go ahead and find a word that really specifies what that quality is. Um, and you have um, this interesting passage that you've chosen. That's well done. And of course, you're at the point where you're always integrating and citing well, which I congratulate you for. But once again, in your analysis, you tend to be summarizing here. You're saying Atticus is saying that taking Tom Case was the right thing to do, and if he didn't do it, he wouldn't be a good lawyer. He wouldn't be an honorable man. If he didn't do the right thing, he could never tell his kids to do the right thing. This is all true, but it really is just restating this in your own words. And I know that you can go deeper than that. And here's how I'd suggest you go deeper. Maybe you comment on the fact that, let's look at this for a second. What Harper Lee is saying through Atticus's words is that Atticus says, I am in public the same as I am in private. It's right here. I couldn't represent this country, or I think it's supposed to be this county, in the legislature, meaning I can't go out there on the street and say one thing and then do another. And if I can't do that publicly, I certainly can't do that at home. That's this part right here with, I can't tell you and Jem. So again, with your analysis, try to make it so that you're looking specifically at what's the critical important part here. Your conclusion, by the way, really nice. And it's nice because Atticus's ability to understand people, that refers back to your first passage, and his ability to do the right thing, that refers to your second passage. That's what make him seem like a perfect man. That's good. So now we're on to your second body paragraph. You have a good topic sentence right here. I'd only encourage you to get more specific when you say he has qualities. These qualities have downsides that allow him to overlook aspects of truth. What does that really mean? It's this part here. Again, get specific in your language. And then moving on down, you say Atticus says no matter how bitter, he's talking about um, how bitter things get. This can at first seem like a great quality, but when explored further, it's actually not that great a quality. That feels like a self-evident point. It's not necessary because it's what you're out to prove. Um, and then this last one here, because Atticus looks at things from other people's points of views, he has the ability to understand where they're coming from, forgive them, and look past it. This is a good idea here. Um, but I felt like this whole sentence could have been folded into the prior sentence. I, I think that's what the issue was. And once again, try not to refer to the you. There we go. Now we're on to your transition into your second passage in your second body paragraph. Atticus later on demonstrates his forgiveness after an encounter with Walter Cunningham. That's a really clever way to have transitioned. There is one point where you use the pronoun he, and it's unclear who you're referring to because you've just spoken about Atticus and Cunningham. Atticus says Mr. Cunningham is basically a good person because he is just looking past the fact that if Mr. Cunningham, this is a pretty dense sentence with some confusion about who the he is. And yes, you can understand who it is the second time reading it through, but you shouldn't have to do that. Another place where you use sort of this indefinite or vague pronoun is this. Atticus is capable of looking past this because he can look at the situation from Mr. Cunningham's point of view. If this is called an indefinite pronoun, an indefinite demonstrative pronoun, and with this, you really want to make sure that you name what the thing it is that he's capable of looking past. And then you have these words. Atticus is capable of looking past this because he can look at the situation from Mr. Cunningham's point of view, who's able to see why Mr. Cunningham did what he did and understand that Mr. Cunningham thinks what he is doing is what needs to be done. That's a lot of like, what are you talking about? So get specific with your language there. And then later on, you also say, although it's normally a good thing to be able to forgive people and move on, what Mr. Cunningham intended to do, well, just state what is it that he intended to do. And then finally, in your conclusion sentence, you say Atticus believes so strongly you should be understanding and forgiving of people that he can't recognize when someone doesn't deserve to be forgiven. Again, get stronger, maybe changing it to he doesn't recognize when someone's actions should be condemned. All right, so we're here at your final paragraph, and excellent formatting. You go from specific to broad, and you just need one more sentence here. And that sentence would be, well, what is the problem with this? People can sometimes be so forgiving, they don't know how to recognize when someone doesn't deserve to be forgiven. I read that and I say, yeah, that's true, but what's the issue? So take it a step further. So here are my general comments about this. Addison, you're now at the stage as a writer where I'm looking for you to make observations about passages that show insight above and beyond what's stated. So avoid summarizing and avoid restating what the passage says. Um, Also, diction analysis isn't always appropriate because a specific word isn't that significant, but try to dig into what's noteworthy about the passage beyond restating or summarizing it. Your writing is very clear. It is really great overall. I know you probably feel like you've just received a lot of criticism, but you're a great writer. So stick on this track. but work more with the analysis. That's the only thing I can push you on. Bye.